A boy in ragged sneakers stood in the middle of a massive airport terminal, clutching his mother's trembling hand. The fluorescent lights above buzzed coldly, and the hum of foreign languages filled his ears like static. His name was Rafiq. 12 years old, wide-eyed, newly landed in America. Sawad. The only thing heavier than his tiny backpack was the invisible burden of expectation. "We'll be fine," his mother whispered in Urdu, but her eyes betrayed her. Around them, strangers marched forward with purpose, while Rafiq froze, staring up at a giant screen broadcasting breaking news. An American tech billionaire was under federal investigation. Rafiq tilted his head and asked, "Why is he crying if he's rich?" His mother had no answer. Somewhere deep inside, something in Rafiq clicked. The rich could still fall. But maybe, just maybe, someone like him could rise. They settled into a cramped apartment in a forgotten corner of Queens, where mold crept along the ceiling, and the radiator clanked like a broken alarm. Rafiq shared a pull-out mattress with his mother. Every morning, she left before sunrise to clean offices downtown. He never saw her leave. He only saw the notes she scribbled in Urdu and taped to the fridge. "Have faith, you are my future." At school, Rafiq didn't speak. Kids laughed when he mispronounced calculator. He stopped trying. But each night, alone under a flickering lamp, he opened his second-hand laptop and escaped. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. They weren't just websites. They were windows into a world where language didn't define worth, where followers meant status, where silence didn't mean invisibility. One night, a video changed everything. It wasn't viral. It wasn't slick. Just a kid like him, brown-skinned, awkward, ranting into his phone about how no one listened to him at school. It hit Rafiq like a punch. That night, he downloaded a screen recorder. His English was broken, but his ideas were sharp. He made a reaction video. Then, another. And another. He whispered at first, scared his mother would hear. But by the end of the week, his whisper became a voice. His third video crossed 100 views. Not millions. But 100 people had listened. It was the first time Rafiq ever felt seen. Weeks passed. He found rhythm, found humor, found himself. After school he rushed home, skipping meals to edit videos. His voice matured. His jokes landed. Comments started to roll in. "This kid's funny. You got something here." Rafiq began to speak with confidence, even outside the screen. His teachers noticed. One offered him a microphone from the AV closet. "One. You sound better than you know," she said. At night, he held it like a trophy. His mother didn't know. She only saw him tired, eyes red, but smiling. "You okay?" she'd ask. He nodded, not ready to share this fragile secret. "Not yet." Then came the comment that shattered him. "Go back to where you came from." It came under his most viewed video. The words burned into his screen like a curse. He stared at it for hours. All his confidence drained in a heartbeat. He didn't reply. Didn't make a video that night. At school, the silence returned. The hallway felt colder. The stairs heavier. But his mother noticed. She left another note. "If you stop now, they win." That night, he turned the camera back on. But this time he didn't joke. He told his story. From the airport. From the slurs. From the silence. It wasn't viral. But it was real. Rafiq's channel grew. Slowly. Then suddenly, one night he posted a raw take on school racism. It wasn't planned, just emotion. By morning, it had 30,000 views. Then, 100,000. The comments flooded in, brown kids from all over the world thanking him. "You said what we couldn't." It was validation, but it was also pressure. He couldn't go back to being invisible now. So he posted daily. Stories. Rants. Skits. Everything with fire. But with fame came exposure. Teachers looked at him differently. Some smiled. Others didn't. One counselor asked, "Are you spreading hate?" Rafiq stared back and said, "I'm telling the truth." At home, he bought his mom her favorite tea with ad money. "How?" she asked. He just smiled and said, 100,000 people know my name." With his channel now pulling at revenue, Rafiq upgraded. Not his lifestyle, but his tools. He bought a second-hand DSLR and a used mic from Craigslist. The camera was scratched, the mic temperamental. But to him they were gold. He spent hours learning angles, lighting, editing techniques. YouTube wasn't a platform anymore. It was his battleground. One night, he recorded in the hallway while his mom slept. Lights off. Just him, a ring light, and truth. He stared into the lens and said, "I'm not who they think I am. I'm not weak. I'm not quiet. I'm not just grateful." Then he paused. "I'm building something." That video went deeper than viral. It started conversations. On forums. In schools. In homes. Then came the brands. Small at first. To-shirt startups, ethical phone case companies, brown-owned makeup lines. They didn't just want ad space. They wanted him. His voice. His face. His story. For the first time, money felt real. He negotiated deals through email between algebra homework and cafeteria lunch. He didn't know what a contract meant, but he knew what trust felt like. One company flew him to LA. His first flight, alone. His first hotel. His first glimpse of luxury. Still, when he lay in the hotel bed with 5 pillows and no radiator clanking, he felt hollow. He missed the sound of his mom, scribbling fridge notes in the dark. At school, fame brought friction. Some students admired him. Others mocked him behind his back. "Oh, influencer boy," they'd sneer. A teacher asked him to stop recording on campus. Another asked if he could mention their podcast. The line between power and isolation blurred. At lunch, Rafiq sat alone by choice. Not because he wasn't invited, but because silence helped him think. He'd sketch ideas on napkins. Draft thumbnails on the back of worksheets. His grades slipped. His counselor warned him, "You're losing focus." But Rafiq already knew school taught him to survive. YouTube was teaching him to build. And for the first time, he believed in his own curriculum. His mother finally asked, "What are you doing every night in that room?" Rafiq hesitated, then opened his laptop. He showed her the videos, the comments, the sponsorship emails. She scrolled slowly, her eyes widening, hand covering her mouth. "People listen to you." He nodded. "They hear me." She didn't cry. She didn't scold. She just touched his face and whispered, "Then don't ever lie to them." From that night on, she left the door cracked open. Not to spy, but to listen. And sometimes, when he recorded, he spoke a little louder. Not for the camera, but for her. And when they ate together, she began to ask, "What did you post today?" Rafiq launched his own brand. Not merch. A statement. Hoodies with loud and brown across the chest. It was a risk. No one wanted to print it. One company backed out last minute, calling it too political. Rafiq printed the first batch himself in a cousin's garage. He modeled them on his channel. "This isn't fashion," he said. "It's armor." The first drop sold out in an hour. Instagram flooded with photos, brown teens from every corner of the world wearing his design like a badge. Some posed proud. Others cried. One wrote, "I've never felt seen until today." That night, Rafiq looked at his old videos and realized something chilling. He wasn't trying to be heard anymore. He had become the mic. A tech startup reached out. They wanted to build a platform for underrepresented creators, and they wanted Rafiq as creative director. At 17, he thought it was spam. It wasn't. They flew him to San Francisco. The boardroom was glass-walled and cold. All eyes on him. "What do you know about algorithms?" someone asked. Rafik smiled and said, "Enough to beat them." He spoke about voice, authenticity, story, not metrics. They listened. When he walked out, one investor muttered, "He's got something." By nightfall, his inbox had 5 more offers. But it wasn't the money that changed him. It was the moment he realized he didn't need permission anymore. But success paints a target. A right-wing podcast mocked him live, calling him a diversity puppet. A former fan accused him of selling out. A hashtag trended, #Rafik exposed. Screenshots. Out-of-context clips. Manufactured outrage. His follower count dipped. Sponsors hesitated. The pressure crushed his chest. He stopped posting. For 3 days, silence. His mom asked, "What's wrong?" He handed her the phone. She read the hate, then calmly pushed the phone back and said, "So what?" He blinked. "They want you silent," she said. "Then speak louder." That night, he posted again. No script. No polish. Just truth. "This is what happens when we rise," he said. "But I'm not falling." He leaned into the storm. Made a series called Cancelled and Brown. He dissected every attack, every bias, every slur, but with empathy, with humor. It was raw, bold, unfiltered. The series went viral, again. But this time, not just among his followers. It hit headlines. Teachers assigned it in class. Activists used it in workshops. He wasn't just a creator now. He was a voice, a mirror, a movement. And one day, a text came in from an unknown number. "Your story saved my life. I was ready to disappear. But then I saw you." Rafik stared at it for minutes. Then whispered, "I see you too." He started speaking at events, colleges, panels, town halls. Not because he wanted to, but because people asked him to. He told stories of airports and moldy apartments, of silence and hate, of defiance. Some in the audience cried. Others left changed. One night, after a campus talk, a janitor approached. "You're like my son," he said, eyes glassy. He stopped dreaming. Maybe he'll start again now. Rafik nodded, too full to speak. On the ride home, he stared out the car window as rain slid down the glass. He wasn't chasing the algorithm anymore. He was chasing meaning. And somehow, it was chasing him back. Rafik turned 18 and registered his first company, Rack Media. Not a production house. A movement. Built to amplify unheard voices. He hired teens like himself, immigrants, dropouts, misfits. They didn't have resumes. They had stories. Some called it chaos. He called it innovation. In a rundown loft in Brooklyn, wires tangled with passion, walls plastered with ideas, they built content, platforms, campaigns, a new kind of influence. When a major agency offered to buy him out, Rafik didn't blink. "We don't sell voices," he said. "We build them." His team erupted in cheers. That night, they worked till sunrise. Not because they had to, but because they believed. But not everyone cheered. A former collaborator leaked private chats, accusing Rafik of hypocrisy. Blogs picked it up. Anonymous sources. Half-truths. The internet devoured it. Fame changed him. He's just another sellout. Rack Media's emails went quiet. Partnerships paused. Internally, the team fractured. Some questioned his leadership. Rafik said nothing for 2 days. Then he called a meeting. No slides. No PR spin. Just him in front of his people. "I'm not perfect," he said. "But I am honest. And I am here." One by one, hands raised. Not to accuse, but to rebuild. The company didn't collapse. It hardened. He started a podcast, mic check, unfiltered. Just his voice. raw.eu. Each episode opened with, "This is for the unheard." He invited refugees, ex-cons, street vendors, dropouts, those who'd never been asked their story. No clickbait, just truth. And it resonated. Downloads soared. Celebrities shared it. Schools played it in classrooms. One episode, where a single mother detailed working 3 jobs, was streamed 1,000,000 times. "You gave me dignity," she told Rafik after. But he shook his head and said, "You already had it. I just hit record." It wasn't a show. It was a megaphone. And the world was finally listening. He received an invitation, TID Global. Keynote. Main stage. Spotlight.y. The email blinked for hours before he opened it. Imposter syndrome clawed at him. He thought of that first airport, the backpack, the whispered Urdu. "You belong here," his mother said. When the day arrived, the stage lights blinded, the crowd hushed. Rafik took a breath. "They told me I was too loud, too brown, too foreign, so I built a mic." The room erupted in applause. Not for the performance, but the truth. Afterward, a teen in the crowd said, "I'm starting my own channel. You made me believe I could." That meant more than any standing ovation. Late that night, alone in his hotel, Rafik sat by the window watching the city sleep. Fame, applause, headlines, they were loud. But in the silence, he felt peace. He called his mom. She answered on the first ring. "Did they clap?" she asked. He smiled. "Yeah, but that's not why I called." "Why then?" she said softly. "To say, I remember. Every note, every morning, every whisper you made when I thought you were asleep." She didn't speak, just breathed. And in that pause, everything settled. He wasn't chasing success anymore. He was living it, and honoring where it began. The offers never stopped. Networks, book deals. A streaming platform proposed a docuseries on his life. But Rafik hesitated. "I don't want to become a character," he told his team. "I want to keep creating, not be consumed." They understood. He turned it down. Instead, he poured his focus into Rack Media's next launch, a platform dedicated to young creators in underfunded schools. He called it Spec Room. No ads. No algorithms. Just space. Submissions flooded in, spoken word, sketch comedy, monologues filmed on cracked phones. He spent hours reviewing every one. "We're not building a business," he said. "We're building mirrors." And in those mirrors, kids saw futures. But momentum attracts shadows. A rival creator, Onsen Alley, launched a takedown series. Accused Rafik of gatekeeping, of profiting off pain. The internet split in half. Think pieces. Debates. His silence was used as guilt. "Answer them," his team urged. But Rafik waited. Observed. Then one Sunday morning he uploaded a simple video. Just him, sitting, no edits. "I'm not here to defend a brand. I'm here to build bridges. If I failed someone, I'll listen. But I won't stop." It didn't trend. It didn't explode. But the next week, a package arrived. A hand-drawn note from a young creator read, "Thanks for not quitting." That was the only headline he needed. He traveled home. Not the apartment in Queens. Home. Back to Karachi. It had been 10 years. The streets were louder, smaller. Cousins taller. The house older. But the smell, spices and dust, was unchanged. He visited the school his father once taught in. It had no Wi-Fi. No projectors. But the kids had notebooks filled with dreams. He sat on the floor with them, sharing stories, not as Rafik the Tycoon, but Rafik the boy. One student asked, "Can we be like you?" He paused, then smiled. "You'll be better." That night, under a sky laced with stars and smog, he cried, not from sadness but from return. He launched an international fellowship, 12 teens from 12 countries, fully funded, fully mentored. The first cohort flew into New York. Some had never been on a plane. Some had never left their village. But they carried cameras, scripts, ideas. On the first day, Rafiq stood before them. "You don't owe the world perfection," he said. "You owe it honesty." They built short films, podcasts, comics. A deaf girl from Morocco premiered a silent animation. A Syrian refugee made a spoken word piece that brought everyone to tears. Rack Media didn't just grow, it multiplied. And with each voice added, Rafiq's dream got louder. One evening, while walking through Times Square, Rafiq saw his face on a billboard. Not for fame, not for brand, but for Spec Room. Below it, in bold, "You don't need permission to be heard." He stood frozen. The crowd moved past him. Flashing lights, taxi horns. But he was silent. Then he laughed. Loud. Fully. Unapologetically. A stranger tapped him on the shoulder. "Is that you?" Rafiq looked up at the glowing screen and said, "No, that's all of us." And in that moment, surrounded by noise, he found his quietest victory yet. Success shifted. It wasn't about numbers anymore. It was about impact. But with growth came decisions. Investors circled Rack Media again, offering 8 figures. Global expansion. Takeovers. "You could be the next empire," they promised. Rafiq sat with it, stared at spreadsheets, took walks alone at night. He remembered the boy in the airport, lost and invisible. Is this who he wanted to become? He asked himself. On a rooftop at sunrise, he called his team. "We're not selling, we're scaling, but our way." They clapped. Not for the money he refused, but for the soul he protected. In that moment, Rack Media didn't become bigger. It became legendary. But pressure mounted. The team was burning out. Deadlines stacked. Dems unanswered. The mission blurred into momentum. One night, Rafiq walked in to find a junior editor crying quietly, eyes red behind her monitor. "We can't keep this pace," she said. He didn't argue. He shut off the lights, gathered everyone and said, "We need to breathe." That weekend he booked cabins in the woods. And one day, no phones, no cameras, just stories by fires and laughter under stars. They called it Rack Reset. And it became tradition. A reminder that creativity isn't a race. It's a pulse. And sometimes, to hear it, you have to get quiet. Back in the city, something changed. A school district reached out. They wanted to implement Speak Room into their curriculum. Then, another. And another. Within a year, 500 schools were on board. Rafiq was invited to Capitol Hill to speak on digital equity. He wore a hoodie, the same one from his first video. Lawmakers scoffed until he spoke. "If you keep ignoring unheard voices, you'll raise a generation that screams," he said. Silence followed. And then, applause. Outside, reporters swarmed. "Are you trying to start a revolution?" one asked. Rafiq smiled and replied, "No, I'm just giving one a mic." Late one night, Rafiq opened a message from a boy in Lebanon. "My school banned your videos, but I still watch. They give me hope." He stared at the screen for a long time. Then he opened his camera. "This is for the ones who watch in secret," he said. "For those in silence. For those they try to mute." It was the most stripped-down video he ever posted. No edits. No effects. Just words. It spread like wildfire, shared in DMs, Telegram threads, underground networks. It wasn't about virality anymore. It was about signal. And Rafiq's signal reached even the darkest corners. That winter, Rafiq was awarded Digital Humanitarian of the Year. The ceremony was in Paris. Velvet curtains. Flash bulbs. Standing ovation. But as he held the glass award, he looked into the crowd and thought of the old airport floor. The cold tiles. The billionaire on TV. The question, why is he crying if he's rich? Now he understood. Success without soul is hollow. But purpose fills. He stepped to the mic, lifted the award and simply said, "This belongs to the unheard." The crowd rose again. But Rafik didn't hear them. His eyes were closed. In that silence, he was home. Years passed. Rack Media became a cornerstone in digital storytelling. Rafik rarely appeared on camera now. He mentored, listened, built in the background. "I don't need to be the voice anymore," he told his team. "I just want to hold the mic." He created an anonymous grant for undocumented creators, launched a silent retreat for burnt-out activists, donated studio space to high schoolers in Queens. One day, he visited that same apartment, the one with the clanking radiator. It was empty now. Peeling walls, dusty windows. But on the fridge, faded and curling, was one last note in Urdu. "Have faith, you are my future." He smiled. She had been right. On the 10th anniversary of his first video, the internet buzzed. "Where is Rafik?" Articles speculated. Fans reminisced. But there were no announcements. No live stream. Just a new video, black screen, one line of text, pass the mic. And then, a collage of global creators filled the frame, speaking their truths. In every language. Every tone. Every truth. It wasn't about him anymore. It never really was. Rack Media had become decentralized, leaderless, limitless. In homes, classrooms, protests, and poetry slams, creators wore loud and brown like armor. And the world didn't just hear them, it echoed. Rafik now lived quietly. A small cabin near the Hudson River. No skyline. Just trees. He chopped wood. Read books. Sometimes taught storytelling at local libraries. A teenager once recognized him. "You're the guy from the billboard." Rafik laughed. "I was. Why'd you stop?" the teen asked. "Didn't stop," he said, handing over a mic. "Just pass the torch." The boy blinked. "You serious?" Rafik smiled. "Speak. I'll listen." The boy hesitated, then began. "My name is Malik, and I've got something to say." Rafik sat back. And for the first time in years he said nothing. Legacy is a strange thing. It's not statues. Not followers. It's fingerprints on voices that were once afraid to speak. Years later, a best-selling author thanked Rafik in their acknowledgments. A documentary opened with his quote. A protest chant echoed his first line. "They told me I was too loud, too brown." He watched these echoes from afar, quietly. Not for ego, but to make sure the signal was still strong. Rack Media had been replicated in 30 countries. The mic had become global. And in every one of those voices, there was a bit of that boy in sneakers at the airport. Scared. Small. And about to rise. And so, when people tell the story of social media's shift, from noise to narrative, they whisper his name. Not out of fear, but out of respect. In conference rooms, on film sets, and quiet late-night editing bays, someone always says, "You know what Rafik we've done?" And they do. Because he left more than a legacy. He left a blueprint. He was never chasing fame. He was building a world where the quiet weren't forgotten. Where stories mattered more than metrics. Where being brown, broken, or unheard didn't mean being invisible. And that's why, in the heart of Rack Media's headquarters, no plaque reads his name, but every mic is engraved with just one word: rise.